You may not recognize his face, but turn on the radio and chances are you've heard the voice of local radio veteran Hurricane Stevens. Stevens, born and raised in Miami, had an early fascination for radio. Talking with him today at the Bubba Radio Network in Tampa, I was surprised to find that broadcasting wasn't the original path he took in college.
I went to school to become a police officer. I dropped out of school and ended up landing a job with the small local radio station in Lake City, and took off from there.
Hurricane dropped out of college and moved to Tampa in the early 90s. He landed his first Tampa radio job at Power 93 WFLZ, the Power Pig.
I started at the bottom and worked my way to as far as I could with Power 93 before I changed formats. I was known as Boner there.
Okay.
I had the Big Boner broadcast. I did everything. I first started my first job there. I was the assistant promotions director and also on the air at the same time.
Stevens was also given the assignment to keep an eye on one of the station's newest talents, a controversial radio DJ by the name of Bubba the Love Sponge.
The things that he would say and do, he was a shock jock. And people, it took a while for them to get used to it. My role was I was assigned to sit in a back production room and listen to him and make sure he didn't lose our license.
Okay.
So that was my first interaction, and him and I became very good friends.
Stevens was also an integral part of the MJ Morning Show, wearing many different hats. He was the assistant producer, technical producer, executive producer, webmaster, and an on-air personality. He says his numerous roles attributed to his longevity.
That's one of the things that made me valuable, and the reason why I stayed on that show for as long as I have.
Because you wore so many hats.
I wore so many hats, I knew so many things.
In February 2012, after 18 years, the MJ Morning Show came to an abrupt end, and Hurricane was faced with an all-too-grim reality: being unemployed. For Hurricane, however, his longtime friendship with Bubba the Love Sponge worked into his favor.
Bubba was always calling me to come work with him, simply because, you know, him and I still maintain a friendship, despite the fact that that MJ had a problem with Bubba and Bubba had a problem with MJ. They were going back and forth. I was never ever going to put myself in the middle of it. I have a key thing in radio, that's never to burn any bridges, and I've never burned bridges, and I won't burn bridges.
In addition to his role on the Bubba Radio Show, Hurricane hosts a weekly web-based show on radioio.com. This one centering around his other favorite passion:
Beer, 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 nothing but beer.
Right.
We're talking, you know, every little thing, from, you know, dumbass DUI people who drink too much and drive. We talk about the local brewers. We talk about the good classic beer. We have samplers come in. You name it. If it's beer, if it involves beer, it's on the show.
And what's his advice for future up-and-comers like myself? Well, it's simple. Learn as much as you possibly can, and don't limit yourself. If that doesn't work out for you, Hurricane has one more key piece of advice: be a garbage man.
Right. You know, people got to pick up trash. You know, the city's dirty.
Thanks for the tip, Hurricane. Reporting in Tampa from the Bubba Radio Network, I'm Anson Tucker, Hawk TV News.